This segment is all about how to prepare and green your vases using floral foam. This is the standard brick of floral foam. I have one soaking right here, ready to go. So we need to cut that to the size of vase we're going to use. I'm going to use this cylinder, so half of this brick would be perfect. So cut it in half. Just like that. See, it's all soaked in the middle, which is what you want. Now, that's going to be too short, so I'm going to use another half just to build it up. So cut that in half, just like that. Nice and soaked in the middle. So, but before you do that, when you're using clear vases, it's nice to line them because you don't want to see the foam. So there's different ways you can do it with real leaves or with a full ribbon leaf. Both work really well. This is plasticized, so it's great in the water. I like to put things inside the vase because it gives you that clean edge instead of on the outside. Both look nice, but when delivery and everything, it just keeps things nicer when it's inside. So if you're using leaves, we need to cut the stem off. And sometimes if this is really thick, I put the knife and just slide it just so it's more pliable. Cut off the thick part of the stem, and that goes in to line your vase. So that leaf isn't quite big enough, so I'm going to put one more. Just cut the stem off. Give this thick part a little slice. Just glide your knife across it and put this part in. I like to put the nice end of the leaf to hide the cut part so it flows nicely. Then put the small piece in first, and then the larger piece. You can trim off the corners if you think you're going to have a hard time snagging the leaf. Just trim the corners and it'll slide in really nicely. And then you're ready to go. Give it a good water, food, and you're all set. When you use foam, it must be watered every day. Live aspidistra leaf works really well to use as a vase liner. This one, the faux green, is also fantastic. And the same cutting of the foam would be great in there. And then all kinds of shapes is good to use for using your foam. This one, we're using the faux leaf as well. It makes it easy to line that shape. So what you would do first is soak your foam. This one I cut dried. Sometimes it's easier to cut the shape you want dry, and then you can save the dry parts for other things. So this one's dry. Now I can soak it because it's the shape I need. So once it's wet, it's easier just to wrap the faux leaf around your shape and then insert it, because sometimes it's hard to put the foam in without disturbing the lining. And then add a lot of water and you're all set with food. So that works well for that shape. And then this shape is nice. We used the real cordyline leaves to line. It adds a little bit of veins and color. And the same thing, soak your foam, put it in. And when I do use foam, I always like gaps. It's just much easier for watering. And if you're giving it as gifts, it's easier for the person to water. If it's full on, it's hard to water them. And then when we use, the reason why I like using foam sometimes is low arrangements, low containers, because the flowers aren't going to flop around. It gives a good hold. Some people like the preference of using foam, others like water. Some flowers prefer water than foam. Like hydrangeas, I prefer not to use foam. So there's different reasons why you'd want to use foam. And another nice thing about foam is you don't need to green as much. So a slight bit of greenery, I'll show you. I'm going to use salal, put that in. And I've got some pre-cut sizes here. The thing with the foam and salal, you don't need to have long cuts. Like an inch or two is fine to get into the foam. But when you're using the flowers, you want the flowers to go deeper into the foam, just for lasting quality. But see how easy it is? It just keeps things in place And you don't need, like for me, when I do my design, that's probably about all I would need for greenery. And then I'll do my flowers, and then I'll add a bit of touches of greens after if I need to. So same with this one. I'm going to show you the Italian ruscus that I just love to work with. It's just beautiful, pliable, lasts a long time. And in some of the other designs, I've shown how to do the great ruscus wrap, but it's a little difficult to see. I'm going to show it to you here without anything in the way. So insert it into your foam on an angle, and then you want to spin it around the vase. So it's really not quite long enough to grab. So I'm going to add one more piece. So cut it, go like that, and then just continue into the foam sideways again. This is like an extension. Wrap this one along this one about 3 times to extend it, and then keep wrapping around your vase. And what that does, it adds greening instantly, fast, gives you a beautiful edge to your design. All you need now is a little bit, say, salal or any kind of greenery just to finish in the center, and your greening's done. You don't need to spend a lot of time with the greening. Also, what's nice about this, you can use it to cut into segments. So let's move this aside. This makes beautiful segments for greening too. Just like that. I'll show you in there. Add a little bit in this. It's nice, it gives you a different texture. But makes it easy. There. Nice and easy. Enjoy your foam arrangements. There's lots more of this in other segments.